So today I want to explore a topic of the great and large tone deafitus, big dummitus, no relatabilityus. And by that, yes, I do mean Blizzard. And I'm so glad, Blizzard, that your community council is going so well for you. You see, I had my doubts at first, but undeniably it was... Oh, excuse me, one sec, I just have a notification. Oh, I'm not supposed to mention that. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, sorry. Okay, we're not mentioning the community council, sorry. But for real, today they released a video on Twitter, which to be frank is a cesspit of degeneracy and clout chasing in the first place, so I'm not really surprised to see. But they released a video on Twitter where they literally, quite literally, mocked one of the most in-demand and most requested changes to the game ever. Like, this is really high up there on almost everyone that I talk to's list. And this is the removal of faction barriers. And I don't know if you haven't played World of Warcraft how to really say it, but this is a very big problem in the community. It started off as an underpinning of the game that we'd have these two different factions, which are based purely upon race, by the way, completely separated. So it's just like, if I wanted to play a human, I need to explicitly be on the Alliance side. If I want to play something like a troll, I need to explicitly be on the Horde side. Which, doing the history a very little amount of service, I'm gonna try and summarize it here. Basically, the factions were kind of balanced in the past, and from everything that I have been told from my community is that there was a really imbalanced, I think it was a goblin racial that basically allowed them to have extra mobility, which in a raid gave them a huge distinct advantage. And so this prompted a lot of big guilds that want to get their obviously world first clears or whatever, and they went Horde. And this with them dragged a whole ton of players, and that was because of that imbalance there. And then what we saw was that the Alliance was already in a state of a snowball effect where players on the Alliance were basically being prompted to go Horde. I'm gonna get into my personal experience with that because I was actually bitten by this because I went Alliance and then I had to swap to Horde because it was so hard to get a Mythic Plus group. But let's cover that after I actually talk about the video. But the video at hand, so there is no audio really to accompany this worth mentioning in my opinion. It's just generic Warcraft music, but you've probably seen the video a few times now running in the background. This is actually unironically enough, a like master crafted thing in how to not address this kind of thing. In 20 seconds, you proved exactly the point that everyone who has quit your game that came to Final Fantasy XIV, you proved them right with this. I'm not even mad about this. I'm actually kind of like laughing at just like, how could you mismanage your product at this level? Like, I'm not mad, and I've completely at this point given up. It's just like, in this 20 seconds, you have proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that you are so filled with self-important ego that instead of being a steward to your own game world, you're out here like a 12-year-old child throwing out zingers trying to be edgy. And let's face the reality at this point, is this is exactly what this was, an intentional jab at their own community.
The problem with the bourgeoisie is they are not relatable. They can't read the room and it isn't a good look. This should have stayed in the drafts. Hashtag tone deaf.
Who, again, and I need to be a little transparent here, have flooded into Final Fantasy XIV with basically reckless abandon and have ran away from your, to be quite frank, mismanaged product. And yes, I will say, in my opinion, it is a mismanaged product when you're having videos like this. Restrain yourself, because spitting directly in the faces of your players is most certainly not tone deaf at all, because it's certainly not completely 100% confirming everything negative I and other people who have barely touched your game have been told, and like, this is most certainly going to get players to want to come back to your game. This kind of Blizzard, what the actual but who am I kidding myself? I'm not supposed to ask questions. Consume product, don't ask questions. How dare you critically analyze our product? I mean, maybe instead of making Soldier gay, you're just gonna make Reinhardt gay. I mean, I could go for like a Big Daddy. Ooh, yeah, gay Reinhardt? Give me that. Big, buff, bearded Viking man that's super big. Haha, do it, Blizzard. Let's get into my own experience with this, because this is actually a topic that when I went to play their Shadowbringers expansion after 14 released their Shadowbringers expansion, unfortunately actually was a huge pain point for me. This was actually a severe inconvenience for me. is the short version is that the Horde clearly has the majority of players. I know that apparently there are some stats that debunk that, but you know what? My personal experience was that the Horde, whenever I went to content, had so many more players, and that when I was on Alliance, it was really a struggle to fill groups, which was causing more Alliance to swap to Horde, which included myself. I mean, you can even ask my boyfriend. Okay, we had our characters on his particular Alliance server. We were really struggling to get raid groups, we were struggling to get Mythic Plus groups. It wasn't necessarily because of player skill, because immediately when we went to Horde, bam, 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 everything just started going quicker. It was easier to get groups for Mythic Plus, high keys in Mythic Plus. It was really, really a much better experience. And from that, as you can see, and obviously I was a part of it, is this was a pronounced snowball effect. You get that little trickle that happened in the history where the WoW raid guilds went to the Horde, and then you had more people and more people and more people come over. That's the definition of a snowball effect, pretty much. Rather an example of it. This has been talked about, sometimes even begged about when I read some of the posts, just googling through it, and just through my experiences through World of Warcraft. Across all sorts of different social medias. It wasn't just the forums, there were tons of forum posts about the topic. There were Reddit posts, there were tweets even under this very video saying, this is exactly what we want. Yeah, as I said, like, this was something even I myself was hit by that lowered the quality of my gameplay, or diminished the excitement and fun that I had from their game, because I wanted to play Alliance. I thought human paladins with their nice facial hair were way cooler than Zandalari trolls with not a single facial hair in sight. Sorry guys, that's my thing. I can't do it. If the character doesn't have a beard, I struggle. I also thought Worgen as actual werewolves was a really cool idea. They looked more to the scary end of thing rather than the like cutesy end of thing, and I'm just like, okay, that's actually real cool. But this obviously, like I just said, meant that I needed to deal with an extremely limited relative to Horde number of guilds and players to play with in different forms of content, which really did translate directly to I spent more time in the floating naughty device, Ouroboros, looking for a group for more than I was actually playing the damn game. I'm not even joking. And for the record, Ouroboros is quite literally a floating bronze, or a floating bronze. And I needed to spend most of my time playing their game in this. It was so unfun until I swapped to Horde and it got instantly significantly better. I kind of left this to like the end of the video, but you know what, maybe I should have brought it up sooner. You know what? One of these days I'll figure out how to actually be a real YouTuber now. Is it gonna be after I pass 30k subscribers? I don't even know. But do not let me feign ignorance. In a hilariously well-documented fact, the developers play Horde, and this is one of the plentiful links discussing it there are. Just Google it. Just freaking Google it. You'll come up with like a treasure trove of them. Not to mention this one little guy, this Gurgthok. How are you supposed to say that? Gurgtalk? I don't even know. Not to mention this one little guy who might be extremely core is Horde. But I mean, how could this possibly have an impact on this kind of zinger video being produced that I'd expect from my 12-year-old cousin and not an extremely affluent game studio? Like, get a grip. Everything is fine for me. What do you mean the peasants are complaining about cross-faction play? The Horde is doing fine. Maybe they should have thought twice before that. Which really just brings up the question of, at which point are you actually doing the act of being a steward to this game world versus, I don't even know what to call this. Childish zingers, jabs at the community. It's from the like 90 DMs or whatever I got about this video topic. I don't think that this is bringing back players to your game. In fact, it pissed a lot off. I'm glad the community council is working out.